Robert Snoyman recently wrote an article called "The State Wants My Vitamins" for Health Intelligence magazine. Now he's joining me on Skype right now. He's going to unpack the state of complementary medicines in South Africa. Now Howard, before we get into it, why don't you start off by defining what exactly complementary medicines are?
So complementary medicines are broadly, in terms of layperson speak, it would be your vitamins, your minerals, nutritional supplements. The broad category is known as CAMs, or complementary and alternative medicines, and that incorporates a somewhat broader definition as well, including homeopathy, traditional Chinese medicines, or other traditional medicines from other paradigms as well. But basically, almost anything that you would buy from a nutritional perspective in a dischem that is not a scheduled medicine.
All right, so the South African government passed some legislation regarding CAMs in 2013. Were they regulated before that?
Well, they were regulated under the Medicines and Related Substances Control Act as an ordinary medicine. And that would be that they were treated no differently than any other medicine. The regulations that came out in November 2013 first and foremostly defined what CAMs were for the first time, and then proceeded to cleave them away from the Medicines Act and to treat them completely differently and to segregate them. The way that that was done seems to be a bit problematic in that the definition tends to limit what can be defined as a complementary medicine. And that is problematic because whatever falls outside of that definition must either then become A, a food, or B, must become a scheduled medicine. And a large chunk of the industry would then have to fall away out of necessity. It becomes unviable.
Now tell me about the definition that was, I guess, given to complementary medicines.
So in terms of these regulations, complementary medicines are linked to the practice paradigms of the Allied Health Professions Council. So the Allied Health Professions Council governs things like chiropractics, naturopathy, osteopaths, these kind of things, as opposed to medical doctors, dentists, physiotherapists, dietitians, which fall under the Health Professions Act. The Allied Health Professions is almost deemed to be adjunct to the ordinary health professions. And as a result, it's somewhat limiting. If you think of someone who may have a nutritional deficiency, they would go to a dietitian or possibly even a doctor, and that dietitian or doctor would be empowered to prescribe them a nutritional supplement to treat that deficiency. An osteopath who deals with bones, unless they're really talking about calcium, couldn't do that. A chiropractor deals with joints, and very few of these products would fall within the realm and the ambit of what a chiropractor does. So to link that definition to what falls within the allied health practitioners' scope and spectrum is somewhat strange. And furthermore, what we find there is that if the Allied Health Professions Council had to change its own scope in terms of what it deems appropriate for its members, then by default, the definition of what is a complementary medicine must change as well. So you're dealing with a moving target that gives the industry no sense of security.
Wow, that seems actually really confusing. Now, I know there's been huge industry backlash, and I can see why now that I kind of understand how it works. What are some of these people who are against these new regulations saying?
So, industry has always, or certainly the larger players and the members of the Health Products Association, which is the main player in this industry, is concerned. They want to make it very clear they're not against regulations at all. In fact, they're pro-regulation, saying that this industry needs some measure of regulations to make sure that we don't want cowboys. I don't think any industry, legitimate players in any industry, want cowboys, because it tars and feathers every player with the same brush, and everyone's deemed to be bad. What they do want, though, is regulation which is fair, which is sustainable, which is actually going to grow the industry as opposed to cut it in half. Regulations which would empower the current players in the industry to grow further, to employ more people. We talk about job creation. The regulations as they stand now, were they to be affected, would have a detrimental effect, a dismal effect on the manufacturing sector in terms of complementary medicines. So it's not that there's no sustainable solution. It's a question that consultation must be had, and indeed is in fact being had currently as we speak with industry, and we must arrive at a solution which is viable, as opposed to a solution which has been placed upon us with little to no input from industry and little to no care as to what the consequences or the fallout may be.